Okay, welcome back to How to Dominate Your Market with the Profit Finder. I'm Brian Carmody, your Profit Finder. So, greetings, all small businesses, and love that you've been chiming into the podcast over the past few weeks. I've got a great interview today. Great guest, Mario Ashmore, who runs Ash Ash Classic Barbershop in the well, let's call it the Central Massachusetts, North Central Massachusetts area, and don't worry if you're listening and you don't own a barbershop. You are going to hear some strategies from Mario that you can apply to almost any business, any industry. And if you're looking for some inspiration, you're going to catch some of that too, because Mario's overcome some hurdles, let's put it that way. And he's going to talk about that. And, just listening to him, you're going to be able to feel like there is a light at the end of the tunnel if you're going through some tough times right now with your business. We all do. So it's totally normal. All right. Without further ado, let me welcome Mario.
How you doing?
Thanks. So glad to have you.
Absolutely. I am glad to be here.
I've been looking forward to this conversation actually for quite a while. I mean, the first time I sat in your chair was just legendary, right? We sat in the chair. I go in for a haircut, and you and I end up talking for 2 hours just about business strategy and stuff like that. So it was
like the perfect timing.
Yeah, it was so fun. So that's when I knew that I got somebody special here. I could tell that Mario's got, he likes to basically kind of geek out on business as much as I do. He understands that he's got, a potential little machine working for him here, that it's not just about what he does behind the chair with scissors in his hands, but it's some of the thought that he has to put into working on his business. And actually, I'll open up just with that, Mario, too, is that, genuinely, I really mean this. I don't meet a lot of business owners that are great or spend enough time on, let me say it that way, working on their business. So many are working in their business, but you actually, I mean, you really do work on your business. And I know that's going to come out today in the conversation, which is awesome. But take us back to when you started out. Like, how did you get into barbering? Tell me about how old were you when you opened up your first hung out your shingle. I won't say opened up your first shop, because I know you did some things that are pretty creative. So let's hear about all that. Let's hear the origin story of the superhero.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of one of those things where growing up, I think a lot of barbers have those stories where it was like, oh, my mom or my dad cut my hair, and for me it was very similar. My mom cut my hair for my entire young life with scissors, and I had the big Jackson 5 afro, and it was just, they were horrific haircuts. It's like most parents, the haircuts were not good. And I had a buddy of mine whose older brother used to cut hair, and one day when I went to his house, he was just looking at me like, man, you are a mess. And he gave me my first good haircut, I'll say that. And I was 12 years old at the time, and it just made me feel good. And going home feeling good after getting a haircut is like, man, I think this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so I started butchering my little brothers and cousins, and then I convinced my uncles and some of the neighborhood guys to allow me to cut their hair. So that was the beginning of the journey. And
nice.
I'd say by the time I got into high school, I was pretty good at it, where I had a pretty good clientele base. I would cut in people's kitchens, bathrooms, wherever I could fit myself a chair and that person, I would just cut hair. I used to sneak down to the gym in school and cut hair during lunch and study hall, all of that stuff.
That's
And
awesome.
was charging like $5 a haircut. It's
Yeah.
just as long as I could get the haircuts in, that's all I really cared about. And
I love the hustle in that age, being at that age. That's you see a kid doing stuff like that, that's when you've got something special. Like he's found his calling, or you found your calling.
Yeah,
Great.
it definitely felt like this was it, and I would say that probably my junior year in high school, I had an older gentleman that I was pretty good friends with. His name is Kimpa, and he was like, we should open up a barbershop one day. And it never really stuck to me, like, yeah, maybe we should. I just, it was like, oh, that's an idea. But my senior year, it was like, yeah, we need to open up a barbershop. This is what we want, what I want to do, and this is what we can do. And so
What changed for
we
you in that time span? Was it?
I think that because I had so many people that I was cutting, it just felt like, you know what, I could actually make a living doing this. And I was kind of a knucklehead growing up, so it was a good opportunity for me to get away from the streets and kind of do things in a more legit and in a more professional manner. So, and I looked up to him as well. He was like an older brother to me. So we committed the ultimate mistake of bringing on multiple partners, and we opened up our first barbershop. And it was the year I graduated from school. So by the time I was 19, so I graduated from school. I took literally 2 weeks out of school and enrolled in barber school. And by the time I graduated, I was 19. We had our first barbershop open,
Wow.
and that was it was a wonderful experience because I got to really see what it meant to own a business, but I didn't really know what it meant to be an entrepreneur or to be a businessman. You know, I always thought owning a business made you an entrepreneur. You know, it's like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I own a business, but we'll talk more about how that whole understanding changed as I got older. But it was great, and I can say it was great because I made every mistake you can make as a as a young business owner. And I mean, there was four of us that opened the shop up together, and four completely different personalities. I was the young hothead. I would work from 8 in the morning till 10, 11 o'clock at night. I had nothing else to do but work in my mind, and unfortunately we had one gentleman who was a little heavy with the bottle at the time, and he was going through some struggles with that. And one of the other guys was, diddling with the drugs and stuff. So it just everything kind of fell apart. And Kempo, who was the orchestrator of us opening up the business, he actually left. He left when things started getting a little rough. And it really made me see that we weren't doing things right. To lose him was tough because we were considered probably, the premier barbershop. We were in Worcester, Mass. And it was Jab's House of Styles. I think most people who live in Worcester have heard of that barbershop. And it was definitely it was a golden pot that we didn't realize we had. We kind of pushed ourselves out of a golden opportunity because we were young and inexperienced, and we didn't really have any mentors or anything. So those mistakes really helped me to lay the foundation of what I did not want to do ever again if I owned another business, because I left after 4 years. And it was one of those transitions where I was so discouraged with barbering and all of the things that we were doing there that I actually left the business for a while. I got out of barbering and I started pursuing law enforcement. I wanted to be a police officer. And that my fractured past really made that very difficult. So it kind of dawned on me that I never stopped cutting hair, even when I was pursuing something else.
Yeah.
So the reality was, listen, barbering is your thing. You're gonna have to figure this out and really get back into it and do it the right way the next time around. And so that journey reestablished itself, and we opened up a barbershop in Leominster. And at this time, I gotten married, and my wife was a very intricate part into me understanding business from a different perspective, because her family, she grew up working with her parents who have always had restaurants and convenience stores.
Okay.
So she had a professional edge to her.
Yep.
And it was unique opening up a barbershop with a woman's perspective as a man who never looked at barbering as something that could be, nice and organized and decorated. It was always, the traditional barbershop. You want to come in and you got sports themes everywhere, and the music and TV and everything is loud and rowdy. And that was my initial experience going through the first ownership. So the second time around, to kind of have that opportunity to see things differently was it was a good thing. She really helped me to change my view, and also in doing so, the clients that I began to meet was a different type of clientele. Started meeting gentlemen, businessmen, and even the women that were coming in that were hardworking and respectable women I wanted to make sure that they were comfortable in the shop. And the wife would always say, I don't want to come in your shop and be uncomfortable. So you need to make sure that everything's on point. It needs
Yep.
to be clean and organized and neat. And so it was a different view. It was definitely a different view, and it began to change my outlook on the industry in general.
It's
You
amazing
know?
how a second set of eyes or a fresh set of eyes can come in this case, your wife did it to you. I mean, you guys are obviously a very close relationship. So it's kind of probably sounds strange calling her an outsider, right? But in a sense, she was an outsider to your
Mhm.
business. So that fresh set of eyes can make a world of difference. They can just ask they can ask you challenging questions and powerful questions and say, did you think about this? Well, let me tell you how,
Mhm.
how women would perceive this, and different types of people and so forth. So yeah, that's powerful. That's great.
Mhm.
What about when you got back into it, you were in the Leominster area, or in Leominster. Is that when you started the mobile barber?
So the journey with the mobile is the mobile has been one of those things where sometimes, I guess, for me, when we see other people conducting business
Yeah.
and you get glimpses of success, you start to say, man, I really want to do that one day. And I remember our shop in Leominster, I had finally at that point, I had gotten a really good glimpse of what it would be like to have success, because the shop was extremely busy. And I did have employees. I had 3 employees, and we were doing really well. But the consistency of help that I had in there was inconsistent.
Hmm.
So eventually, things dwindled down to the point where I saw that in order to keep that business running smoothly, I had to have individuals who were a little bit more professional than what I considered to be normal prior to. And I actually shut that shop down. It's kind of weird. I'll transition into how the mobile came about through this story. I shut that shop down, and I actually began to teach barbering. And I taught barbering for a few years in a school in Fitchburg. And I saw a gentleman online in California who had a mobile barbershop.
Mhm.
And it blew my mind that this gentleman had converted over a Mercedes Sprinter van into a mobile barbershop. And I was saying to myself, what an amazing idea that is, to actually be able to take your business to clients who are too busy to come to you. And so it was, I want to do this.
Mhm.
But in the state of Massachusetts, this was back in 2007. So in the state of Massachusetts, they did not allow mobile units in the state for sanitation reasons or whatever their reasoning was. So it was not doable.
Okay.
And so I had to continue just working in the industry for a while. And eventually I ended up working in the prison system, teaching barbering for 10 whole years. And that idea of the mobile, just, I couldn't get it out of my system.
Yeah.
And prior to COVID, I started going to the state board meetings to just kind of poke my head in and give some ideas on this whole mobile unit thing.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest issues they were talking about was inspections. And so I was saying to them, well, the same way the state requires you to drive to a facility and get your car inspected, why don't we just have a similar system in place where if a barber has a mobile unit, he can drive to Boston and you can conduct your inspection in one location, and it saves the inspectors time from running all around the state. And they liked the idea, but they actually changed it. They allowed the inspectors to go out and inspect units on the outside.
Yeah.
So in 2017, they said that they were going to be working on regulations to allow mobile units to happen in Massachusetts. And I wanted to be the first. So it was like, I got to get a mobile unit ASAP.
Yeah.
And my wife and I actually found a unit in 20, like the end of 2017, which we purchased, and we didn't tell anybody. We just held on to it. I didn't want anybody to steal the idea. So we held on to it. And then of course, 2018 came around. I had been working on, I think I'm going to leave the DLC so that we can get the mobile unit started. And then of course, right after that, COVID happened.
Hmm.
And so when COVID happened, it was the perfect opportunity for me to take advantage of COVID
Yeah.
because no one wanted to go to barbershops anymore. So it
And
was
couldn't, right? I mean, the state shut
the
them down. So
state shut everything down.
yeah.
So we pushed really hard to get the mobile done as fast as possible because we had been hearing the rumors about being able to reestablish the barbershops, but with certain regulations. So I said, instead of going back into the barbershop, why don't we get the mobile going? And that way we can have one-on-one, almost like that VIP exclusive feel. I think a lot of people would enjoy it. And so we pushed to get the mobile open. And the minute they said barbershops could open, we exploded on the scene with the mobile, and it was an extremely innovative and new idea. And so we were booked out 2, 3 weeks at a time from the start. It just exploded.
Wow.
And I was able to double my income from the DOC the first year we opened up the mobile barbershop.
Good for you. Good for you. That's amazing. So I'm hearing a couple of strategies here. So I'm always talking about how the value of being able to take an idea from another industry and apply it to your industry.
Mhm.
But that also applies to the example that you just gave us, which is you grabbing an idea, working in Massachusetts, growing up in Massachusetts, you see Massachusetts barbering strategies and setups, but you pick something up from a guy who's been doing the mobile barbering in California. So that's another part of this, like reaching out beyond, your limited view
Mhm.
is even looking, even with, outside your industry is awesome. And you can even get stuff from inside your industry if you definitely look in another region.
Absolutely.
People tend to, and that gentleman obviously picked up the mobile idea from some other industry that he started,
Mm. The dog grooming industry.
Yeah, that's what I would guess. Yeah, the mobile
That's,
dog
yeah.
in washing. That's there must be something else out there, but that's probably the a leading one for sure. That probably gave,
Mhm.
yeah, you
I
know,
think they're probably one of the biggest when it comes to mobile is
yeah.
the dog room, and I think they have some of the largest numbers of mobile units out there.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Outside of your obviously your cleaning companies and things of that nature, but I
Yeah.
think when it's one-on-one or that more of the interpersonal services, I think they kind of lead the pack. But mobile barbershops are growing. They're starting to really pick up.
And they should. I mean, and again, when you think about it, it's like this. What I usually help people with is take a step back from what you think you do, right? And just take a step back. So and define it bigger. So this whole idea of let's go take a step back. So you guys do, you and dog grooming businesses, you both groom someone. Dogs, the dog grooming business grooms dogs, you groom people. So
Hmm.
when you step back and you say, oh, wow, all right. So if the dog grooming business is doing it, I probably can, can I apply it to humans? And then if you take a step back even further and put yourself in the home services category, so you think about, again, the housekeeping services, the people have been hopping into cars and driving to people's homes to clean their houses for decades, right? So
Hmm.
um now you take a step back and you're like, okay, so I that's another way I can kind of get there mentally, is like people are taking their service to the house, whether that's
Absolutely.
cutting hair or cleaning the floors or stripping the floors or shampooing the rug or what else, window washing services.
Hmm.
I've got a company that comes and cleans my gutters on a routine subscription basis. You know what I mean? It's like that whole concept of just going and doing it. So it's like take a step back from what you think you're doing it, what industry you think you're in, define it bigger. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden you see like all these other strategies that you can start gleaning from different industries. And
Absolutely. I mean, we have accounts with schools, companies, and pretty soon I'm also going to be pushing for some of the hotels in the Boston and Worcester area. I mean, you have individuals who travel for business, you have comedians, you have sports players, just businessmen in general who may travel and not have an opportunity to get a haircut where they're coming from. So the idea is to set up accounts at hotels to say, if you have an individual traveling town and they need the service, be it haircut, hot towel shave,
yeah,
massage, whatever it may be, we can bring the business to them right at the hotel. So there's no looking involved. We can come right to you. And it just saves everybody a whole bunch of time, you know, and we always will pay for convenience, you know. So that's the idea, is to put a convenient solution in people's hands so they don't have to search too hard for it. We can bring it to you already.
Right. No, that's 100% true. Don't, you would never, you and I both know better that, if someone's going to say, oh, like for example, the hotel convenience thing, right? Um, just to make up a number, you could probably charge, I don't know, $100 for like some premium price for
Mm-hmm.
that convenience, and people will gladly pay it. And if somebody is going to stand in front of you and say, $100, I get my haircuts for $20 or $25, that's way too much. Well, then you're not the
You're not
people
the
we're talking
client for
to.
that.
You're just
Mm-hmm.
not, that's not what we do. We help people who get it, who are so busy
Mm-hmm.
that especially with their business, hopping from airplanes to, to hotels and so forth, those people understand that, oh shoot, I just landed in Boston. I've got a big meeting tomorrow, big presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm looking a little shaggy. I want to make my best impression,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, and it's a you know, my entire principle has been to give people an opportunity to not just get a haircut. You know, for instance, if I want a burger, I can go to McDonald's and get a burger. I can go to Five Guys and get a burger.
yep.
It's all about the quality of what you want
Mhm.
and the value of what you're going to get. And so some people will be okay with walking into Smart Cuts to get a haircut for a business meeting. But then there's other individuals who don't just want a haircut. They want a haircut. They want a scalp massage. They want a nice warm towel for their shave. They want to put some, you know, premium quality products on their skin when they're done. So when they walk into that meeting, they don't just look like they just got a haircut. They look rejuvenated. And
Yeah.
the experience is better than going to Smart Cuts. And that's what we're trying to offer. We're
Mhm.
giving people an opportunity to get a great experience and not just a great haircut. And I think there's more value in that.
That's beautiful. I love it. So you can step, and I like how you just did that example that I talked to you about, is you took a step back. So what are you doing? You're giving an experience, but so what I heard was, what I heard you say was, we're not going to just give you a haircut. Anybody can do that. We're going to rejuvenate you. That
Absolutely.
that's a different service. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Um, so yeah, so anyway, for the listeners, that's what we're talking about when we talk about those kinds of things, like, redefining what you do, make sure you step back so you can, that's how you kind of open up your perspective and possibilities and opportunities, and yes, income too. So
Absolutely.
amazing. So is
Absolutely.
that you're still, I love that. Another really cool idea you're doing though here is the joint venture strategy.
Mhm.
You're taking, you're not just a barber who is sitting and waiting for people to come to you. You're setting up joint ventures with, like you said, schools and hotels,
Mhm.
where that they can leverage all of the people that are come at them every day, and
Absolutely.
show up and give those guys convenience. Then they can hand over to you pretty healthy list of clients and referrals and stuff
Mhm.
like that, just because of the
And
number
this is
they have come in. I love it.
Mhm. And this is
Love
a
that.
strategy that I learned from you. You know, this is something that, you know, we talked about, and it is working. There's so much more I want to do with that as well. You know, there, I don't want to give too much away because I don't want anybody stealing all my ideas, but
Yeah.
there's business opportunities out there. If you really think creatively, where could I go to offer my services with minimum effort of having clients come to me? And so that's been the things that I've been looking for. And it's keeping it under wraps until you're actually doing it, and then sharing that with other barbers so that they can also have that success as well. But I want to do it and prove it first,
Yep.
and then share it. And
Yep.
but I have some great plans in the works. You know, I'm trying to keep the pipeline full
Yep.
so that I don't have one avenue of revenue, because that's, you know, eventually it will dry up. The mobile has been amazing, but there's, the winter time is a little more effort to run the mobile. And so we decided last year, as you came to the barbershop, and I'm sure the listeners are hearing now, we decided to open up the barbershop. So now we have two different avenues of service to provide, where
Mhm.
we have our brick and mortar location you can come into, or we have the mobile service that we can come to you. So that's adding another dynamic to the service provision that we have. And it gives us an opportunity to not be one dimensional. Now we're two dimensional, and eventually we'll branch out and be three dimensional so that we can cover all the bases. And yeah, we have some good things, coming.
That's awesome. And it sounds like you want to hold on to some of the things, keep your clients closely invested, and that's cool. But so what I'm going to say instead is, you and I have talked about this. Like, there's no industry where you don't have the potential to become a multimillionaire.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people, maybe not the ones who listen to this podcast, but I think the average person on the street would say, a millionaire barber. I mean, you can do pretty well, but a millionaire? Yeah, there's a way to do it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like you put together a package of innovation, which Mario's working on. And he shared some of those details with us, and some he's going to leave us in suspense, and that's cool. But you put that package of innovation together, and then all of a sudden you turn and sell that package of innovation to barbers across the country, where
Mm-hmm.
they can learn, like, oh my gosh, this is how Mario grew his business. And you're like, I've got the whole thing mapped out for you. Just do this, bang, 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 and
Yes.
they'll pay for that. And now you're selling things at scale across the country to
Mm-hmm.
barbers in Arkansas and Texas and Idaho. And
All over.
now,
Yeah.
yeah, now you're running a company that it's another revenue stream, but it's one that can scale you up far beyond how many. I don't care if you work 40, 80 hours a week cutting hair. You just never get there to that kind
Mm-hmm.
of level of money. So it gives you a chance
Yeah.
to get out.
There's a stigma about the barber industry. We kind of talk about it. Rich people don't send their kids to barber school, and because people have always thought forever there's no money in barbering. But there are multiple barbers, and if you just search Instagram alone,
Yep.
that are in the $1 million, category, and some of them multi-million-dollar,
Sure.
just through the industry of barbering. And it's through implementing their techniques, teaching their techniques, having subscription-based memberships to their educational courses, just being influential, teaching classes, just the wealth of knowledge in this business has grown over the years to where barbers no longer just cut hair. They're cutting hair, they're changing lives, they're inspiring people, they're educating people on business practices. They're doing these magnificent colors and designs and things of that nature. So there's ways to make money, and then there's multiple ways to make money. And so I will share one thing. One thing we're working on right now, which we're going to be launching pretty soon, is subscription-based memberships to the barbershop.
Oh yeah, let's hear about
And
that.
yeah, so one of the biggest things with barbering is when you're very busy, it's very hard for people to get in during times they need. And sometimes, that big 80-20 rule. You have 80% of your sustainable clientele and 20% of your higher end clientele. And most of us are so focused on the 80% that we just stay busy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to market certain services that are in that higher paying percentage point at the 20%. And we're offering subscription-based memberships to the shop where they can pay for their haircuts prior to receiving the service, but it also gives them access to premium appointment time. So now, if you want to book several appointments in a row, you no longer have to fight for that time slot. You can say, well, I subscribe to getting that time slot, and we can lock you in every week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever your preference is. So now that time slot is yours and it's dedicated to you for as long as you're willing to pay for it. We have gentlemen who are willing to pay for an entire year up front if they can get premium appointment timing. And it puts me in a position where now I can take that money and invest it and
Yep.
allow that money to grow for me before I even provide the service. And I can just I can do two things. I can pull a little bit out at a time when I provide that service, or I can just leave it in there and let it grow. So it allows me to kind of see that there's a consistent income coming in. And then the bonus is I can still make the income of providing regular appointments or walk-ins and things of that nature. So we're tightening some things up, and we're gonna open that up pretty soon. And we've been getting great feedback from clients that we've talked to about it. And once again, we have about three guys who are willing to pay for the entire year up front, and then we have some who want to do a 3 month, 6 month subscription, which is just going to be mind-blowingly different. And I don't think there's any barbers out there doing it. So it'll be a great opportunity for me to put it into practice and then also teach it. Like you're saying, we can teach this to other barbershops and get them rolling as well.
Amazing.
So yeah, I'm excited
Love
about
it.
that.
So basically, again, just to put a point on this, you're borrowing a business model from wildly different industries. The newspaper industry, the magazine industry.
Absolutely.
You know, remember back when we were kids, there was Columbia House Records
Oh
mail.
yes. Yeah.
I always think of them when I think of subscriptions, that of doing it being when they're
Mhm.
but send away for this stupid little tapes and stuff and overpaid like crazy for them. And but anyway, and you're doing that, you're going from newspaper industry, magazine industry, and putting it into barbering, a non-mail away type subscription. You know what I mean? It's like, it's incredible. I love it. I love it. It allows you to do some premium things. Like you said before, people pay for value, not people
Mhm.
buy on value, not price. They only buy on
Absolutely.
price when you don't give them anything else to look at. So what you're doing is putting some value into you're providing them more value to the people who want it, to say, look, if you want, I want to, I recognize you're a loyal customer. I want to give you a
Mhm.
premium experience because been so great to me. Um, Go ahead and choose, a date, and
Mhm.
I'll hold that date for you, date and time. And
Absolutely.
they're willing to pay that premium price that doesn't really cost you anything. I mean, your
Mhm.
cost of goods sold does not increase just because you allowed somebody to have a saved appointment.
Nope.
But so your profit increases, which is
Absolutely.
the whole point, which means you can continue to invest in your business and provide even better services. I mean,
Hmm.
we're talking about this on October 16th, 2023. October 16th, 2024. I can't wait to see what you're doing then, because it will be
Absolutely.
something bigger and better. I know it will.
Hmm. Yes, it will be.
So
Absolutely.
it's so fun to watch you go through this journey, man. What has well, boy, we've talked about a lot about the additional value you're providing. So maybe as we get close to wrapping up, tell me a little bit more about some of the other services that you do in the shop. Because I know
Yeah.
your
So
wife and
so
daughter are there too, right? So
yes, they are. And one of the big things I'll tell you, one of my pet peeves, I guess I could say, about the
okay.
barber industry is for a very long time, barbers have just been about cutting hair as fast as you can, as many haircuts as you can to make as much money as you can. And I think that that was one of the worst things we ever learned in school was, we all hear time is money, but I think we need to start teaching people that the value of time is money,
Mhm.
because you could spend 15 minutes on a haircut and you can make $20-$25 for that haircut. But I have guys that come in and they will get an hour-long service and pay $150-$200 for a haircut. So it's the qualitative value has become more of an issue for me than quantitative. And so I'm trying to introduce things that are more quality based. So we do facials. We do it's called pseudofolliculitis treatments. We treat razor bumps and things of that nature. We do preventative and relaxation facials here. My wife's a massage therapist, so we provide massage therapy here. My daughter's a cosmetologist, so we have the capability to provide service for anyone who has long haircuts, be it men or females, color services, dreadlocks, braiding. My daughter even does dreadlock reattachments. Simple things like that that you don't really hear about in your average barbershop. And then myself, I'm certified in SMP. So I do scalp micropigmentation, which is like non-surgical hair replacements procedure. We
Wow.
use specialized dots to kind of make the image of your hair look like it's full. And so those things are not your average, I don't want anybody coming in and thinking they're walking into their father's barbershop.
Yeah.
It's a much different situation. We have an environment that is set up so that when you walk in, you feel like you're walking into a home. It's inviting, it's relaxing, the smells are nice, the music is relaxing, and once again, the overall experience is different. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give services that are here as opposed to staying in that normal range like most barbershops. So when people come to the register and you quote them a price, they don't, what? It's no, okay, here you go. It's automatically acceptable because they received quality service and the experience was really, really well. And that's the goal, is to make sure that when you come in, you see that we're not just cutting hair. We're cutting hair, we can color hair, we can provide quality information. I like to educate the clients as well. So when we're talking, it's not, okay, I'm just going to cut your hair. I want to really acclimate you to why I'm doing certain things. If you have a colic, explain to you how we can clean those areas up, how we can make that blend in better. And so that way, if someone comes in and they receive an unfavorable haircut, I don't want to say other things, but
Yeah.
they get an unfavorable haircut somewhere else, I want to explain to them what could have been done differently to make it look better. And then I will provide that so that when they see it, it's like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted. And it's unfortunate that some barbers don't provide that same service, but that's what I'm here for. I'm trying to change the outlook of the industry. I want people to see barbers as professionals in the end. Professionalism is it has to be our highest priority because we are licensed professionals. And in order to get making six figures in barbering is not hard anymore. So now it's okay, how do I put things in place so 2, 3, 4 years from now I'm making seven figures? That's the new goal, is that I want that $1 million a year status, And so, and I will get there. A lot of people may not think so, but I will get
Have them talk to me. I'll set them straight. I'll set them straight.
there.
You kidding me? You're going one direction, Mario, and it's up.
I'm telling you.
Awesome. So, dude, it's been a absolute pleasure to see your face again and to get caught up on this stuff and to geek out with me.
Absolutely.
I know you got so much fun. I'll just call it fun, planned for your future. So keep killing it. And folks, if well, actually, I'm going to put in the show notes, everybody, how to find Mario and his shop and how to book time with him. Mario, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what your favorite communication link is?
Yeah, so the easiest thing to reach me for appointments is on Booksy, and that is at marsthebarber.booksy.com. And you can see my schedule. You can book up to 4 weeks in advance. And like I said, pretty soon with the subscription-based memberships, that's going to change. We're only going to allow people to book 2 weeks in advance. Anything beyond 2 weeks will require a subscription-based membership. And then we are also on Instagram, and that is at Mars the Barber, and you can find me there. And our email is Ash N, the letter N, ash.classicmobile@gmail.com. But it is definitely easier to reach me through the phone number here at the barbershop, 978-464-6020. And I appreciate it greatly.
Lots of incredible lessons today. I'll definitely call some of those out, but just as we wrap up and roll out, we talked about just to wrap up for all the geeks out there like me, we talked about 80/20, we talked about joint ventures, additional products and services, and we didn't say it, but Mario definitely talked about a market dominating position and how he's building his business to become untouchable very soon. So he's going to be there. I know he is. I consider him a friend, and this is you definitely got some good stuff going on, Mario, and I think you're going to help a lot of people by spreading this episode around. I wish you the best again. Okay.
I appreciate it very much.
Bet. All right, everybody. Thanks for checking in and listening to this episode of How to Dominate Your Market with the Profit Finder. We will see you at the next one.